Hello, my name is Thor Olson, and I'm making this video for MBA 733 International Strategy, St. Ambrose University. This is in response to Chapter 7, Small Business and International Entrepreneurship. Well, what I take from this chapter is small businesses are a major contributor to most economies. In fact, for example, the U.S. Historically has been made up of small mom and pop type businesses. That's really all there were in the onset of our nation. But obviously, as the growth of population, size of the country, and the international trade growth, large companies are an inevitability. But just because we now live in an age of multinational corporations, and all we see is this commercialization of all these various industries by these huge companies. This doesn't mean that the small business has disappeared. Maybe in some industries the small business has disappeared, such as something we witnessed in Iowa. The small farms are disappearing, being bought up by and succumbing to the pressures of the large corporate farms, where you see the disappearance of small grocery stores. They're being replaced by the supermarkets or the all-purpose stores like Target and Walmart. But even with these examples, the fact is small businesses are still a major part of the economy. It seems that small businesses don't disappear, they just reinvest in other sectors. I'm speaking as small business as a whole, not an individual. But this is good because every strong economy needs a significant small business sector. The U.S. economy is made up of over 97% small businesses, and these businesses account for 3/4 of all the jobs in the United States. So you can tell it's a major contributor. Statistics are similar in China, where small businesses represent 99% of all business, as well as Europe, the developed nations in Europe, the Americas, same thing, Japan. These are all represented by about 98% of small business. And with the increase of international commerce, small businesses more and more want to participate internationally, which brings up the dilemma, such as how do small business navigate the complexities of doing business internationally, and even more important, how do they compete with the big multinationals? One strategy is to take their time or follow the small business stage model of internationalization, which the book discusses. It talks about the 6 stages that small businesses go through incrementally, that they pass through to become fully integrated into the international markets, starting from passive exporting all the way to being fully transitioned as a company. Another way is to start an international business from the onset, or a global startup, such as these web-based businesses that have international market segments. They pretty much are international businesses from day one. Or they can directly compete, which is difficult for a small business. But it's becoming easier with e-commerce. That's kind of leveled the playing field for everybody. But either way, it's difficult for the small business. But it's important that small business succeeds. I work for the government. We operate with a full understanding of the importance of the small business. In fact, we have an entire office, the Small Business Office, dedicated to all small business affairs and government contracting. This is because some insightful politicians somewhere realize the government can be used as a great asset to provide support for the small business sector, and thus supporting the economy as a whole. Therefore, all the contracts that we award, with a few exceptions, has to either go to a small business, or we have to document why it's not going to a small business. And we also provide them added benefits, such as if the small business is bidding against larger businesses and the lowest bid, or the small business's bid is 10% or within 10% of the smallest or the lowest bid, then the small business will get the award. So there's certain rules that we follow just to support small business. The government understands the importance, and I think everybody should. And with the increasing global nature of business, it's important to ease the barriers of entry, such as the perceived size issues or distance issues, or the high costs or the overregulation issues that small businesses have a hard time overcoming. It's important for these nations to have small businesses. We can't let globalization stand in the way of such an important part of our economies, because in order to thrive, the small business sector needs to be healthy.